All right. Good morning. What's up, everybody? Matt Moda here with another live stream Fast Break Bets presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. I will say, normally we're live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at this time. But I just want to give a quick heads up. Next week, we're not going to have a stream on Monday because there are no games that day. But we will have streams on both Wednesday and Friday at the same time, just going through the play-in games. So just not going to be anything on Monday. But as for today, massive 15 game slate. Every single NBA team plays today. So I'm going to go through the picks a little bit quicker than I normally do. So the analysis won't be as long. It's not because the analysis is not as good. I just didn't write as much down in my notes or else the stream would go for an hour and a half. And then as for the 15 games, there's only 3 that we're not going to have a play on, either due to injury uncertainty or just not having props out. It's Bulls, Wizards, Mavericks, Pistons, and Jazz, Clippers. So if you want to bet any of those 3 games specifically, I would just recommend checking out the BettingPros app and going through the cheat sheet and stuff like that and finding plays. And then, of course, at the very end, we'll give out our same game parlay of the day as well, which we got to cash on Wednesday's stream. It was pretty nice. We had a SGP in the Nuggets game. We did get that bad boy to cash, which was good. And then the most important thing in the world is get your questions, get your comments, anything you have in the chat. For a massive slate like today, I'm sure there's a lot of questions that people have. One thing that I do want to preface is that because there were so many games, once I decided what a play was for a game, I didn't spend a ton of time researching anything else for that game because I just kind of wanted to go on to the next one, hit it and quit it in terms of getting to the next game. So if you want advice on a play that I didn't look into, I might not have thoughts on it, but definitely get everything in the chat regardless. Rice says that they have a problem. If it's medical, I would suggest going to a medical professional, not myself for that. And then Dustin, today's going to be a good day. Absolutely. Very, very confident that today's going to be a good day. But we can get right into it. Just a reminder, get everything in that chat. And then, of course, subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel. So the first play that we're going to go ahead and lock in here, this is in the Magic versus 76ers game. I'm taking Joel Embiid over 7.5 first quarter points. It's best offered at -125 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. You can also see on the screen here what the most up-to-date odds are on DraftKings as well. I can't believe we're getting this at 7.5. I've got to be honest. I was expecting it to be higher. I think the reason why, so he's only played 4 games since he returned from his injury, right? And he's only gone over 7.5 points in 2 of the 4 games since he returned, but he's playing more and more minutes, right? Like before the injury, a normal Embiid schedule is he plays the full first quarter. He plays all 12 minutes of the first quarter. His first game back, he played, I think, just under 6. He played like basically 6 minutes. And then he's been kind of hovering around 8, 8.5, 9. They're slowly ramping up his minutes in the first quarter. I'm guessing they want to get him to the point where he can play the full 12 as the Sixers. I mean, they might be in the play-in. Excuse me. They might not. But they're going to want to get him back ramped up to his normal allotment of minutes. So I'm expecting him to play upwards of 10, maybe even the full first quarter. But even if he gets to 9, that's kind of the number that we're looking for here. And he's been awesome. Like in the games that he's played, he's been really good. He scored 30 points, I think in 2 of the 4 or 3 of the 4. I forgot to write that specific part down. But I know he's been playing really well. He's physically looked good. And this is a game that is important for the Sixers, right? Like they can technically get up to the 6th seed depending on how things go, right? And that's a big deal because you're out of the play-in at that point. Now, the 6th seed might end up being a first round matchup against the Knicks, which would not be fun, but you would probably rather be the 6th seed than the chance of being the 7th seed and then losing and playing in the 8th seed and then having to play the Celtics in the first round. So that's all just to say that it's going to be a game that the Sixers care about, that Embiid cares about. And it's a pretty good matchup for him against the Magic, right? Like you think of the Magic as a team that does not allow a lot of points on the interior, but Embiid actually does most of his work on the mid-range. And they just don't have a big man that can get in his face when he's pulling up from the mid-range or just really stop him from getting down low. In 2 games so far against the Magic this year, he scored 16 and 15 points in the first quarter. Granted, yeah, those were playing 12 minutes, but even if you scale back to 9 or 10 minutes, that's still getting him to 8 points. So I love this play for Embiid. Jordan, FanDuel stays lacking with the first quarter props. That's why I got to lock them in on DraftKings, fast break bets presented by DraftKings. So we're skipping, as I mentioned, the Bulls-Wizards game. Last I checked, there were no props out for that one. I will say I want to take Nikola Vucevic rebounds when props get posted. We just got to see what they look like. So if you want to lean for that game, that's definitely where I would look. The next game that we're actually going to talk about, Hornets versus Celtics. Another first quarter prop. I've fallen in love with these recently. Brandon Miller over 4.5 first quarter points, minus 105 odds. This one is offered on DraftKings. So Jordan, you can lock this bad boy in on DraftKings. Normally, the Brandon Miller versus Celtics matchup is not one that I would want to target. But the Celtics have basically been on cruise control for a couple weeks now, as they have had the 1 seed clinched for weeks. They might not play all their starters. Their effort won't be 100%. Like the Celtics just got smoked at home to the Knicks last night. And that's not me saying that I think the Celtics aren't going to play well or aren't the best team in the NBA. That's just me saying that clearly they're not taking the regular season at this point in time seriously. Whereas the other side, Brandon Miller, he's been awesome. He's sneakily been a first quarter killer. I was on him, I believe Wednesday. I played him on his first quarter over. He cashed it for us. He's gone over 4.5 points in 8 of his last 10 games. And he's been playing between about 9 minutes per quarter in the first quarter as well. 9 minutes per game in the first quarter. On 3 separate occasions, he did play over 10. So hopefully just the more minutes, obviously, the more chance you have of going over. But this is a time of year where teams are letting their young guys play, get their shine, just get minutes in games that really don't matter in the grand scheme of things. And Brandon Miller has been playing really well. These two teams played on April 1st. Brandon Miller scored 11 points in the first quarter. As long as he can do half of that tonight, he's getting us to 5 and we're cashing out. That's our third play. Next up, Pacers versus Cavaliers, taking Donovan Mitchell under 5.5 assists plus 120 odds per the betting pros consensus. Now this one, I will admit, is a little bit scary, but I love this play. He's gone over in 4 of his last 5 games. That's why it's going to be a little bit scary. So we'll go ahead and label this one our Pepto play of the day. But as a matchup, I really like this under for Donovan Mitchell. It's all based on how the Pacers play defense, right? Like they're one of the worst. I mean, not one of, they're the worst defense in the NBA in terms of allowing isolation players to score, or I guess I should say allowing points via isolation. That's what we're looking for. And they're also number 1 in points allowed via the main pick and roll ball handler. What that means is when guys are driving to the paint, they're scoring and not passing. That's why they don't give up many assists. Like if you look at the entire season, they're literally allowing the fewest assists per game to point guards. Now I know that Mitchell is technically listed as a shooting guard. It's really just guys with the highest usage rate on the team. If you have the highest usage rate, and usage rate means a possession that ends in a shot or a foul, getting fouled, so not passing. Usage rate does not take into account passing. They don't allow a lot of assists. 4 of the last 5 point guards against the Pacers have gone under their assist play. They're just not going to send help, which means that Donovan Mitchell might be able to score a lot. Definitely don't think he's going to be able to pass a lot, which is why I'm rocking with the under 5.5 assists. I've mentioned DraftKings a ton. That's where the Brandon Miller play, the best offered on DraftKings. I would recommend, if you're not already, everybody to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use promo code NBA Bets. New customers can bet $5 and turn that into bet $5 and turn that into $200 and bonus bets instantly. Again, that's promo code NBA Bets only on DraftKings. Playoffs are basically upon us. The 82-game preseason is basically in the books at this point. I think we have 2 games left for each team. So now it's time to get in on the action on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. From the play-in through the finals, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with SGPs, live betting, odds boosts, whatever you're looking for. Get it on DraftKings, promo code NBA Bets. Turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets. The crown is yours. All right, let's keep going through this thing. We're 3 down. Next pick, Nets. Next pick, Nets versus Knicks. We're taking Josh Hart over 16.5 rebounds plus assists. This is currently best offered at minus 110 odds per the betting pros consensus. This is kind of similar to the Embiid play. I don't understand what the books are doing with this price. I was on Josh Hart rebounds and assists yesterday. I was on Josh Hart rebounds and assists on Wednesday. And I was on his double-double as well, and that was like plus 200. I don't get what they're doing with these odds. And they're still giving it to us at a pretty good number. Like even the 16.5 is higher than what it's been the past couple of days. This number is still a number that he's cleared in 7 of his last 10 games. One game he missed, he had exactly 16, so he would have gotten hooked there, and that would have been a bummer. And another game that he missed, he didn't play beyond the first quarter because he got ejected. Outside of that, he's just been annihilating this number, consistently playing pretty heavy minutes. He didn't yesterday, which I do think is important. He only played, only for him is not a lot, 32 minutes against the Celtics because that game turned into a blowout. So the back-to-back doesn't scare me off at all because it was one of the rare games in which he didn't play 40 minutes. So I love this play. Just going to get into some comments here. Logan, good luck today. Yes. Mike, Celtics ruined my parlay. I don't know why I didn't bet the Knicks. Yeah, I would have been in on the Knicks on that one as well, just because like the Celtics, they're looking for the playoffs. Free sauce. Yep. Jalen, Karis LeVert over 17.5 points and rebounds should be a good play. Yeah, I know a lot of people like Karis LeVert. I think it's a pretty good matchup because the Pacers defense is a total joke. Again, once I saw that Donovan Mitchell assist was at 5.5 or plus money, that's where I went. So I didn't look a ton after that. And Jordan, yeah, Josh Hart had 16 rebounds last night. The rebounds plus assist, it's crazy. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Anyways, and then yeah, Mike Thompson rebounds plus assists for Josh Hart is easy money. Let's hope so. Let's third straight day in a row. Definitely not fading recent results there. All right, Lakers versus Grizzlies is the next game that we're going to talk about. We're taking Rui Hachimura over 18.5 points plus rebounds. This is minus 115 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. Rui, all the shine on the Lakers when they're playing well, it goes to LeBron, it goes to Anthony Davis, and then in games that LeBron's out, it goes to D'Angelo Russell. Rui has sneakily been playing pretty well recently, and he's been playing a decent amount of minutes as well. He's averaging over 32 minutes of playing time his last 10 games. And now he has a pretty good matchup against the Grizzlies. Like, not only are the Grizzlies bad, but they're a total skeleton crew at this point. If you look at the injury report for the Grizzlies, they literally only have 8 healthy guys. That is the minimum amount of required healthy players, and that's what they have, is exactly 8. And because of that, I'm not expecting huge minutes or huge effort from Anthony Davis or LeBron, even though the Lakers do need this game. So if it does end up staying close throughout the game, then that prediction will be wrong. Even if that's the case, I still think that this is a situation where Rui should be able to dominate on the interior, dominate on the glass. Last time these two teams played, he had 42 combined points plus rebounds. I don't necessarily think he'll get to 42 tonight, but if he can get to half that, we're cashing out this bad boy. Brunson assist isn't a bad play either. And I know under the 30.5 points is spicy because Brunson's been on fire recently, but look, fading recent results there. So you have my attention with that. All right, next play, Raptors versus Heat. I'm taking Immanuel Quickley over 7.5 assists. Plus 118 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. Raptors are in the same category as the Hornets and some other teams where really nobody's paying attention to them anymore. So not a lot of people know, except for the real nasty boys, know that Quickley has been balling recently. He's been playing really, really well. So this is kind of like similar to a lot of plays, honestly. Towards the end of the year, I'm kind of getting away from the fade recent results type of strategy because I just think that not a lot of books for really obscure players or obscure props, I think we are getting some real value. Because like for Immanuel Quickley, like who in their right mind, aside from us, is betting Immanuel Quickley assists? But he's been really, really good recently. He's gone over 7.5 assists in 3 straight games with 9, 13, and 9 in those 3 games. He's cashed this in 6 of his last 10 games as well. And he's been playing a pretty decent amount of time, of playing time. He's averaging just under 35 minutes of playing time over his last 10 games. So he should get 30 minutes at least in this game. And in his last 10 games in which he's played 30 or more minutes, he's averaging over 15 potential assists. And that's a pretty good number. Like if he gets 15 potential assists, he basically just needs to have a 55% conversion rate to get us to 8, which he's been actually much better than that in terms of his conversion rate. And it's just a really good matchup against the Heat. I've talked about it a couple times recently. The Heat will sell out to not let lead guards beat them, which leads to those lead guards getting a bunch of assists. The Heat, on the year, they're allowing the 6th most catch and shoot 3-point opportunities in the NBA. Catch and shoot, those are assisted, right? You obviously, if you catch and shoot it, someone's passing you the ball, that's assisted. They're also allowing the 2nd fewest points per game to pick and roll ball handlers as well. Not letting the guy score off pick and roll means that he's getting the ball out of his hands. So that's leading to a direct assist, which would be nice, or it's like a hockey assist where it's a pass and an extra pass. But either way, they're not letting guys score as the main pick and roll ball handler. They're like the inverse of the Pacers. The Pacers will just let anybody score at will without sending any help. The Heat are not like that. That's why I'm on the assist play for Quickley. Next up, excuse me. Next up, Hawks versus Timberwolves game. I'm taking Karl-Anthony Towns over 1.5 made 3-pointers plus 114 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. I will admit it's going to take a little bit of a leap of faith betting Karl-Anthony Towns in his first game back. But I think the value of plus 114 on him just to make 2 3-pointers, I actually think is really, really good. And like his role on offense, my guess here, especially in his first game back, it's probably going to be relegated to spot up duty on the corners. And he's a really good shooter. And I especially wouldn't be surprised if in his first game back, he's not as aggressive driving to the basket and instead settles for more 3-pointers. Like Embiid is a different player, obviously, than Karl-Anthony Towns. But Embiid's last game, he took 9 3-pointers. 2 games ago against the Heat, Embiid took 6 3-pointers. Karl-Anthony Towns is a way better shooter than Embiid, but he might also end up settling for more jumpers because of the injury and because it's his first game back. He's cashed this in 4 of his previous 5 games before he got hurt. And I understand why we're getting a discount. It's because he's not going to play his normal allotment of minutes. He'll probably play 25, 30 if I had to guess. But it's one of those things where like he might get 4 wide open 3-pointers on the corner. And if you're giving me that opportunity, I think he'll make 2 of those. So that's kind of why I like the Karl-Anthony Towns play. Zana, nice sweep in the NBA yesterday. Yeah, it was an awesome NBA day. Not only did we sweep, we also hit the ladder play as well for very juicy odds, which was great. All right. Before I talk to you about our next play, we're about halfway done here. I want to talk to you about the Betting Pros Discord. So if you're looking to up your game in sports betting, look no further than its exclusive Discord community at bettingpros.com/chat is where you can find it. In the Discord, Betting Pros has gathered a team of expert handicappers. You're getting free picks. That's really important, free. If anybody comes to you trying to get you to pay for something, that's a scam. But I mean, we're MLB season just started. You're getting free picks for the MLB. You're getting playoff picks for basketball, playoff picks for hockey, soccer, golf. We're in the middle of the Masters. Player props, live betting, futures, whatever you can look for, whatever you want to look for, you can find in the Discord. Can get in on the action, connect with like-minded individuals, like-minded sports betting enthusiasts such as yourselves. Elevate your own betting strategy with insights, picking the brains of the pros in the Discord. Join us today. Take your sports betting experience to the next level. All right. Bucks versus Thunder. That's the next game we're talking about here. We're taking Shai Gilgeous-Alexander over 28.5 points plus 100 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. So I actually gave this out last night on my own. I gave it out at 27.5. The good news is the number moved up to 28.5. That's the good news. The bad news is the Bucks basically listed their entire team as questionable. Now we already know that Giannis is out, and Dame is probably going to be out as well because he's listed as doubtful. But Bobby Portis, Chris Middleton, Brook Lopez, a ton of guys are listed as questionable for the Bucks, and they're listed as questionable with rest, which is the concerning part about them not playing. So in terms of the matchup and everything, it's a beautiful matchup for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to go off. It's like tailor-made for his type of scoring to go off against the Bucks. Now, the last time he played the Bucks, he only scored 12 points. I was on him that game, so I was frustrated when I was watching that. But that was when he was dealing with his quad injury, and it ended up bothering him more than he let on. This is what his coach said, so he could just be protecting his guy. But he did take 10 days off, which is the most time he's taken off this year with that quad injury. And then once he returned, he scored 40 points and played 38 minutes against the Kings. So I think he's good to go health-wise. And if you just strictly look at the matchup, it's amazing for SGA. We've talked about it all year. You want to target your guards against the Bucks. They play this gross drop coverage with whoever is at center, leading to guards to just torch them from the mid-range by pulling up. They're allowing the second most points per game to pick and roll ball handlers. They're only behind the Pacers. They're also allowing the 6th most points per game via isolation as well. They can't guard guys one-on-one, and it's because of the way they play defense. Part of that, the reason why these guys have been able to score so much against the Bucks is because they're able to pull up from mid-range, pull up from three-point range. Over the last 10 games, the Bucks are allowing the 2nd most pull-up field goal attempts in the entire NBA. And look at SGA and how he scores. He scores the 7th most points per game via pick and roll, the 5th most points per game via pull-ups. It's perfect for SGA to go off, which is why I like the play. The concerning part is the injuries, but I like the play a lot. All right. First of all, Mohanikan, hopefully I'm not butchering your name. That is a great last name, Skywalker. You know I love that. If you see my Twitter handle at Jedi Modai. You were an absolute fire last night, definitely over the last few weeks. Love your insight. Appreciate that. That's awesome. I really appreciate that. Expect to see great things from you over the course of your career. Fingers crossed, we'll see. Dustin, yeah, all of these are going to be tracked for the stream. So like normally I'd give out like leans, half unit plays, whatever. With the 15-game slate, I honestly didn't want to decide between whether it should be a lean or an official play or what. So everything is going to be tracked for 1 unit from the stream. All right. Something about, can it? Jalen likes Josh Giddey over 18.5 points and assists. I know some people I respect that were on his points and assists as well. So that's not where I went because I went with the SGA play, but I do think that one is pretty good. All right. Next play, Nuggets versus Spurs. I'm taking Victor Wembanyama over 29.5 points plus assists, minus 102 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. I really like this spot for Wemby. He's been playing more minutes to end the season, and he's been playing really well as well. It's kind of in the same category as Brandon Miller. Granted, Wemby obviously has way more eyes because he's Victor Wembanyama, and he's incredible. But he's in the same category as Brandon Miller as a rookie that teams are letting play more, give them more responsibilities, and that rookie has been rewarding them with good play. Like Brandon Miller's been playing well. Wemby's been playing awesome. He's cashed this number in 4 of his last 6 games, the over points plus assists. And the reason why I like combining the two for the game tonight is I like his points regardless. It's a higher usage rate with a ton of guys ruled out for the Spurs. But with that, all those guys on the Spurs being ruled out, he's actually taken way more of a playmaking duty, right? His assists specifically have gone up a lot recently. And he's done a pretty good job. Like he's been playmaking more, and those have been leading to assists. He's gone over his assist over under, I should say. It's set at 5.5. That's a number he's gone over in 6 of his last 7 games. And in the 1 game he missed, he had exactly 5. In that same stretch, same 7-game span, he's yet to have a game with fewer than 8 potential assists. And he generally has a higher, laughing at a comment. He generally has a higher potential assist to assist ratio than you normally see from like Jokic or Sabonis, because those guys are running a lot more offense. If he's from a center and he's assisting from down low, a lot of times it's just when he's getting double teamed and he's dumping it off for a layup. That's why his potential assist number is higher. So I think this is a good spot for Wemby. He's been playing really well, and I think he should be. I think he should continue to be playing well and play heavy minutes. And he's going to get up for the matchup against Jokic. He's pretty competitive. He doesn't want to lose, even though the Spurs stink. Laughing at Mohanikan. You keep giving picks like that and coming whatever the hell you want. I would like to be respectful and pronounce your name correctly, but I respect that sentiment. All right, next game, Pelicans versus Warriors. I'm taking Andrew Wiggins over 1.5 made 3-pointers, minus 102 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. So this one is not a fade of recent results. I admit this one does feel a little bit square when you look at how well Wiggins has been shooting recently. It's a number he's gone over in 3 of his last 4 games. He's gone over it in 5 of his last 7 as well. And in 4 of those games that he went over, he actually hit 3. So it's not like he only made the bare minimum of 2. He actually hit 3 3-pointers. So it's not like he's barely clearing it. But the reason why I like this play, it's just a great matchup against the Pelicans. Like we were on Keegan Murray 3-pointers yesterday. He scared us with 0 in the first half. Then he came through with, I think, 5 in the second half. And it's because of the way the Pelicans play defense. Like they'll leave guys wide open from 3-point range. They don't give up a lot on the interior, but if they don't respect your shot, and even if they do respect your shot, they're still going to leave you wide open. Like if you look at the entire season, they're allowing the highest frequency of 3-point attempts be considered wide open. That's NBA.com defines wide open as 6+ feet of space. That number has only gone up, as I knock my headphones out, has only gone up in the last 10 games. And it's just gotten worse. So they still lead the NBA, and it's gotten worse over the past 10 games. And Wiggins, like they're going to sell out maybe to try and stop Clay if he plays in Steph Curry. They are not going to care about Andrew Wiggins. They're going to leave him wide open. So if he can continue this type of hot shooting, he might only need 2 attempts if they're wide open to cash both. Now, he's not always a plus shooter, so it's a little bit scary, which I understand. But he's been shooting well. So like he's been, at least that part's been going well. So let's hope he can continue to shoot well. Wiggins normally hits his 3-point prop. Let's hope so. McCollum, 20. He's been playing really, really well. McCollum, 25.5 is a big number, and I get why it's that high. That's not where I went. It's one of those things where Brunson, I haven't been on his points recently because when someone's just clearing their point total by so much and it's high profile, I get a little bit scared off of that. I generally, if I'm going to not fade recent results, it's with a play like Wiggins. It's with a play like first quarter props. We're not necessarily everybody is like, it's not going to make the ESPN tweeting it out like, oh, Brunson scored 40 points. Yeah, everybody's going to know that. They're not going to know, oh, Brandon Miller's gone over his first quarter prop in 8 of his last 10, stuff like that. So that's kind of why I'm not on Brunson points. I'm not on CJ points. They've just been clearing it so much recently. Mohanican. Anakin's Indian cousin. That's funny. All right. Well, no, I appreciate you letting me know. That was helpful. All right. Anyways, I got distracted. We only have 3 picks left. I've mentioned that if you want to check out some certain games that I'm not playing, like those 3, the Bulls, Wiz, whatever, then you should check out the Betting Pros app. You can find the Betting Pros app at bettingpros.com/apps. Pretty easy to find the app at bettingpros.com/apps. The cheat sheet is where I would recommend going. If you're looking for player prop picks, you can find Betting Pros recommended picks based on the current lines that sportsbooks are offering, and then what Betting Pros projections are, which I think is really cool. So you can sort by just highest positive expected value place. You can sort by highest likelihood of the place hitting. You can sort by biggest gap between Betting Pros projections and what the sportsbooks are offering. Like if you want to find ladder opportunities, that's kind of your spot to go. And then you can tell me on my picks as well. I use the BetSync feature, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, to have all my picks locked in on the app. You can find my profile at bettingpros.com/Modi. You can also get a free trial of the premium offering. So if you download the Betting Pros app, you can get access to a free trial of the Betting Pros premium offering. And then they have the BetSync function. As I mentioned, sync your bets through the different sportsbooks on the Betting Pros app. Check it out, bettingpros.com/apps. All right, 3 games left, two of which we will have picks for, 1 we will not. The next one we're going to talk about, this is in the Rockets versus Blazers game, and I'm taking Deandre Ayton over, I don't know why I said his name weird, Deandre Ayton over 6.5 first quarter points, -115 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. This one is pretty simple for me. Ayton has been really, really good in the first quarter recently. He's gone over this in 7 of his last 10 games. And I love the matchup against the Rockets, who basically, since Şengün went down, they just don't have any size on the interior. They have been unable to guard anybody on the interior. So honestly, it's really just as simple as that for this play. Like Ayton's been starting fast, cashing again in 7 of his last 10 games in a juicy matchup against the Rockets. I didn't need to overthink it. That's where I went. Last play, then we're going to get into our same game parlay. And I should have mentioned our SGP is going to be in the Nuggets versus Spurs game. It was tough to decide. Like the Pacers Cavs has playoff implications. The Pelicans Warriors has playoff implications. But something about the MVP against the Rookie of the Year, I think, is a cool matchup. So that's where I went with the SGP. Anyways, before we get into that, Suns versus Kings, I'm taking Kevin Durant over 24.5 points. This is at -122 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. Now, this one's going to feel gross. I will admit that wholeheartedly. He's gone under in 4 straight games, but he went over in 5 of the previous 6. So it kind of makes sense for KD to have a stretch where he was scoring a lot, then for it to swing back the other way and him start to go under the number. But the good news is, even in the 4 games that Kevin Durant has gone under, he scored 20 points in all 4 of those games, which, yeah, I mean, for Kevin Durant, I get that scoring 20 points isn't necessarily the most, like, to hang the banner. I understand that. But it's not like he's been completely awful as well. He hasn't just been horrible. And it's a really good matchup for Kevin Durant against the Kings as well. The Kings are allowing the 3rd most points per game to Kevin Durant's shooting profile. That makes sense. Like if you look at his history against the Kings, it's been really good this year. He's cashed this over in all 3 games against the Kings with 28, 27, and 28 points in those 3 games as well. And Mike Thompson, he's Kevin Durant. I don't recommend bets based on someone being due. You could argue that fading recent results is also betting on someone to be due. So if you want to make that argument, that's fair. But it's more so the fact that he has gone under in 4 straight. I just expect it to swing back the other way. And the matchup is good. Like those 2 things are good enough for me. And then as for the same game parlay, the odds are going to be on DraftKings at +470. Again, it's in the Nuggets versus Spurs game. I'm taking Victor Wembanyama over 29.5 points plus assists. I already mentioned why I like that one. He's been playing well, especially playmaking well recently. I also, and these last two are going to be correlated, like Jokic over 28.5 points. The Spurs are really, really bad at guarding big men, at guarding pick and roll men as well. Bad at guarding roll men on the pick and roll. Jokic should just be able to feast inside. I like Wemby. He can't hang with Jokic physically. And then I also have Jamal Murray over 5.5 assists as well. Very correlated to the Jokic play. Let's hope they run a bunch of pick and rolls and Murray dimes up specifically to Jokic, or you can kick them out the shooters as well. But that's my SGP of the day, plus 470 odds. Wemby over 29.5 points plus assists. Jokic over 28.5 points. Jamal Murray over 5.5 assists. And now that's it. That's my SGP of the day. If you are looking to build your own same game parlay, I would recommend checking out the Betting Pros Same Game Parlay Builder. When you're placing SGP bets, you're combining multiple bets within a single NBA game. And using the Betting Pros SGP Builder, you can leverage different insights to build your same game parlay. You can look at correlated bet recommendations, correlated kind of like the Jokic and Murray play that I was just talking about. How correlated are these bets are together? You could also just look strictly at positive expected value ratings, have the highest EV parlay, or cover probability, like what's the highest likelihood of the plays hitting, put those in a same game parlay, a ton more. Perfect your betting strategy by analyzing the overall correlation grades and projections. Stay ahead of the curve by following SGPs placed by fellow bettors via the app as well. Start building winning parlays today at bettingpros.com/parlay. And that's all we got. Marathon stream. I appreciate everybody who was in the comments. It was a very active chat, which I always love. Reminder that we're not going to have a stream on Monday, but we will have a stream on Wednesday and Friday going over the play-in games. Let's hope we all cash a bunch of bangers today and hope everybody has a good weekend. Have a good one.